Hi, Jennifer, the hospice social worker here again. As you know, a terminal illness doesn't just affect the patient physically, but also has deep psychological impact. That means developing psychosocial care plans for a hospice patient is a critical component of delivering hospice care. I want to show you how hospice tools make psychosocial care planning simple and functional. Hospice Tools provides a few different ways to access care planning. So say I want to do a psychosocial visit note. We'll create that document, and it's a form that's very similar to the psychosocial assessment form. We have the date, time in, time out, people present during the visit. It's kind of a thinned down assessment. The interesting thing, though, is you'll notice at the end of this section, it has care plans. If we select care plans from the Visit Note drop-down menu, the last page of the Visit Note takes you directly to that patient's care plans. We see all of this patient's care plans, and now we can go ahead and either start a new care plan or update an existing care plan directly as part of your workflow of doing the visit. We can also enter care plans through their own tab separately from a Visit Note. If we go back to the patient's main chart, we can click on the Care Plan tab. We see that they're sorted and filed in this Plan of Care section. This patient currently has a number of care plans: skin breakdown, pain, nutrition, and anxiety. We also see who created each care plan, but once there is a care plan, anybody can go in and update them. So they're flexible. It doesn't have to be the one person who created it to be the same person updating it. The care plans are also different from other forms in the fact that they're living documents. If we can step back for a second, we'll click on the tab All Types, and we see this little blue bubble for care plans. It's not green, it's not yellow or red, but it's blue. The reason that it's blue is because the care plan is a living document. It's ongoing with different submissions and is kept open through the life of the patient or through however long that care plan is relevant. To see how creating a care plan actually works, we'll go back to the Care Plan section, and if we select Start New Care Plan, we have a whole library of suggested care plans, suggested goals, and suggested interventions that we can tap into. So if you go to the field Problem Being Care Planned, and say we want to pull up a care plan for impaired individual coping, for instance, it tells you at the top that this care plan is suggested for a social worker, whereas a care plan for imminent death might be suggested for a nurse. We also see that as I start to type, it pulls up all of these care plans that are built into the system in the care plan library. We can click on Impaired Individual Coping, and once this is selected, we can now enter goals. We can free type the goals. We can say that the goal is patient will cope with illness, or we can pull in suggested goals. So these are some suggested goals. Patient will recognize expressed feelings, identify strength and the steps supporting coping. We can add it, and then if we want, we can edit it. So let's say our goal is for the patient to just express her feelings, and we can delete out the rest. The idea behind it is to be able to make care plans easier by giving suggestions, but also not to make all of the care plans look exactly the same for every single patient, and to really customize the documentation to match and describe the patient's situation. Now that we've determined the problem and the goals, we click Next, and it tells us we're about to submit what I just entered. We'll click OK, and we see now at the top, the plan is in a submitted format, and now we can continue with observations and occurrences related to the problem. We can say that the patient is struggling to cope with illness. Once we enter our observations, we can score the problem. We can say it's mild, moderate, or it's severe. And then we can put in interventions and outcomes. Here again, we'll see suggestions. We can come up with our own interventions, and we can choose from a list of suggestions. We can select one, some, or none of the system suggestions. In this case, we're going to choose suggestions such as, we're going to arrange for a family meeting to facilitate improved coping skills, and we might consult with the patient's spiritual counselor. and we'll select that we'll identify a patient or family physician and IDT goals. We'll select to review the care plan with the patient or family and review it with the family staff if the patient lives in a facility. We'll click Add That, and all these selections pop right up there into the interventions. Again, we can add free text, edit the suggestions, or just keep it as this. Then we just date it, and we can save and close it for later, or save and submit. Once we save and submit, we see it comes up in this submitted form. So now I have the updates. If we go back to the patient's chart, we see the new care plan is right there at the top. And even though we created this care plan, any other clinician can go in and update it. If we want to do an update to the plan, we can access it in a few different ways. If we're out doing a psychosocial visit and we create the document, you'll see when we open it, the last tab again is the care plans. So if we hop over care plan, we see it's right there. So if as part of my visit we want to go ahead and update the care plan, the system makes it very easy to do that. The system prompts you to do that. If we go in there, we see the document, we see exactly what was done the last time we updated the care plan. We can click New Update, and it gives me another observation. We might say, patient's still not coping well. Maybe now it's severe, and we can look up more suggestions. We'll add in that we're going to identify what the hospice can legally, morally, and financially provide. We'll add in that we acknowledge the ambiguity. I can select different things and add them, and then I can date it and save and submit. And now it added this update, so you can see how the care plan is an ongoing living document. If we want to discontinue a care plan, let's say it's not relevant anymore, the pain is now controlled and has been for a while, and it's not an issue anymore, we can go ahead and just discontinue it. We can say that the goals are met, or I can pick another reason, in which case I would just describe it. In this case, we're going to say the goals are met, and we'll date it and click discontinue, and now this care plan is closed. Once it's closed, if we go back, we'll see a few different things. First of all, it's filled out down at the bottom of the care plan list. It's no longer at the top because it automatically files by default, so that the relevant ones are at the top. It also takes that care plan and puts it in submitted status, and we see the care plan now has a green bubble because it's been completed. And that's how Hospice Tools makes psychosocial care planning simple and effective. Hospice Tools, how hospice happens.